I've always been inspired by seeing the way that you interact with the community around you. I know that, the firefighters, it's a big deal to you. And so that's something that when I saw that post that you posted on Facebook, which you can see if you go to Ginger's page, it just really, it resonated with me.
And which post was that?
It was the post when you were doing the week of serving the firefighters.
EMS
Yeah,
week.
can you tell me a little bit about that?
It's Emergency Medical Services Week, once a year. This year was the 50th anniversary.
Okay.
And I got wind that they don't really get a lot of love that week.
Really?
And so I said, well, we're going to change that. They are heroes just like everyone else, and I think that they should be highlighted for that.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
I partnered with a local company, which is Sister Soul Food. She has amazing food.
Okay.
And so we've done it every year for 5 years now.
Okay. Very cool. So you went to each fire station?
So
Is that where you were at?
Fire stations each year, and firemen work in shifts, shift 1, 2, and 3. And they sleep there 24 hours a day. And so day 1, we fed a crew, day 2 and day 3. And so we kept going back to those stations to make sure we hit all 3 crews. And just say thank you for your service and feed them lunch. They love it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, what inspired you to decide that the firefighters and the EMS was, the group you wanted to love on?
Sure. 2 things. First, my husband is a fireman.
Okay.
He's now retired. But I used to work at Altman Hospital in the emergency room.
You did? I didn't know that about you.
Yep, for many, many, many years. And I worked at Mercy in the emergency room.
Oh, wow.
So what happens is someone will call 911 for an ambulance. The ambulance, of course, picks up the patient, whether they're on their last breath or choking or whatever be the reason. They pick up those patients, they bring them into the hospital, to the emergency room to see a doctor. Pretty standard. The thing that people don't know about firemen is, it's all day, every day, 3 a.m., 3:15, 3:30, 4 a.m. They work 24-hour shifts. So these poor guys work their butts off, and they're in some of the most traumatic situations. And then they bring these patients into the emergency room. So we see firsthand, we hear the stories of what the car crash they just came from.
Yeah.
So I just had a great respect for them and the job, because I had no idea that's how this all worked. And I married one, so.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, it sounds like you definitely, have found a way to get back to that group, and it sounds like you have very good reason for doing so.
Yeah.
You also mentioned yesterday, if you don't mind me just jumping into a meeting we were at yesterday, you talked about finding your tribe.
Yeah.
Right? And that had something to do with that as well, right? Would you mind kind of elaborating on how working and taking care of the firefighters and trying to really just establish great relationships with that community, how does that fit into the real estate business? And what is that for the realtors out there that are watching this? What lesson could they take from that then they could take action on in their own business in order to try to find their tribe, so to speak?
I love and have been in the medical field, so I see that service side. Those are my tribe.
Right.
As far as firemen, doctors, nurses, I've worked so closely with them.
Sure.
And maybe your thing is horses or dogs, or you're a tattoo artist, or you're a lawyer, whatever your tribe is, things that you have in common with other people, those are kind of your tribe. And so I said yesterday, I was always taught in all of my coaching to find your tribe and then double down on it. And that's exactly what I try to do.
So can you share a success story where you turned a difficult situation into a positive outcome, just really reinforcing the client's trust in you?
I was driving down the road one day at a house that was close to mine, was vacant. And I know it's in my neighborhood, and I knew that the people had moved out, and they hadn't listed the house yet. So I'm driving to work and I see this random guy peeking in all of the windows of this house. And I thought,
Okay.
that man needs a realtor.
That
That was the first thing I thought of. So I turned the car around. I went up, I drove up and said, hey, did you want some more information about this house? I actually live not far from here. Did you want to get inside it? And he said, yeah, absolutely. I would love that. Me and my wife have been looking for a house, blah, blah, blah. And I said, wonderful. He did not end up buying that house. He bought a different house.
Okay.
However, I helped him buy that house and sell their current house.
Okay.
So all from a drive-by of a random guy peeking in the windows.
It could have been a prowler, but it turned out to be a great client, right?
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fantastic story, and definitely it reminds us, I think, that opportunities are everywhere, and we should always have our eyes open to those things. And the old rule, always be prospecting, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to
Thank
sit
you.
down and talk to me today. I appreciate you sharing, and I look forward to having future conversations with you in the future.